Okay, so as of the filming of this video, permitless carry is one signature away from being legalized in the state of Texas within the next probably few days. And a week or two ago, South Carolina legalized the carrying of unconcealed handguns, which will move their concealed carry permit program to a license to carry program. So this may pertain to a few people, and I've been meaning to do an update on this video anyhow. So this one's going to be how to successfully open carry if you choose to do so. So first off, let's get out of the way the definition of, first and foremost, open carry. Open carrying, really every single state that has a legal definition of open carry has written law and practice law, or applied law, I should say. Written law in Washington is open carrying is defined as wearing an unconcealed belt holster containing a handgun. That's really the true written definition in Washington, best I've been able to gather. The applied law in Washington is if a nearby civilian can identify what you're carrying as a firearm, they treat that as openly carrying, whether you're carrying it inside or outside of your waistband or whatever kind of holster, shoulder holster, for example. So, because of that, there's really no true one definition to openly carrying or carrying an unconcealed handgun. So the best I can do is give you my definition. My personal definition of open carry is I have a handgun and I could care less who knows it. So usually that involves wearing a handgun on a shoulder or belt holster outside of any covering clothing. Now that's not to say there isn't such a thing as incidental concealment. What I mean by that is wearing an open belt holster on one's waistline and it gets chilly out, so you grab your coat out of your truck and throw it on unzipped. And you can kind of see the front of the firearm, but mostly not. And, you're walking around, the coat mostly covers it most of the time. I consider that incidental, and for me, concealment means purposeful and intentional concealment. So really, to me, open carry is more of a mentality than anything. I have a handgun on me, and I could care less who knows it. That's my personal definition, and I feel that you can apply that pretty much anywhere outside of practice law, from individual to individual. So that having been said, that's out of the way. Successful open carry. What's that mean? Well, a few things you got to do to be successful. Not being disarmed. By that, I mean not losing your handgun, because gun grabs are extraordinarily rare. We'll get to that. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, not having negative police encounters, right? Or civilian encounters, really, for that matter. And not being kicked out of businesses. Being able to go through your daily life without being hassled. That, to me, is the trifecta of successful open carrying. Third thing I want to cover before I get into it is why. Why some people open carry. Well, the easy answer is it's your only option sometimes. That's the easy answer. A lot of places like Oregon, open carry, permitless open carry is a freebie for anyone 18 and older, but concealed carry is only for 21 and older with a permit. So for some people, either permitless or underage, open carry is the only option. Other things can be social distinctions between locations. I live in Washington, so maybe in Seattle, open carry is not necessarily seen as something that's socially acceptable these days, at least not everywhere. Whereas over in, let's say, Twisp, it's probably extraordinarily common. It'd probably be oddball not to see somebody without a handgun strapped on their waist. So the question really, I guess, to answer why, preference, location, and legalities. That'd really be the options of why. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. I've rambled on enough. So first thing to do when successfully open carrying, I'm going to go over things to avoid. So things to avoid are generally things that draw unnecessary attention or they draw negative scrutiny. See, when you're carrying an unconcealed handgun, or any gun for that matter, you are by default representing everybody else in the firearm community. And so I really take issue with some people that carry something like this. Okay, right? So, and I know this is a pistol, but excuse my terminology, long guns. Carrying long guns openly in urban areas is just not something that's socially accepted anymore. Times have changed, sorry to say. So I guess really the point I'm trying to get to, carrying a long gun, really only appropriate under three circumstances. One, obvious law enforcement. 2 extremely urban areas, usually to or from hunting activities or sporting activities, and then 3, and I say this with caution, political demonstrations in order to make an attempt to make a change in the law. And when I say that, I really mean correct political demonstration. What I mean by that is, there's Open Carry Texas or Texas Open Carry or whatever they call themselves. I know there's a few groups over there who stand on street corners and yell at cars going by. That is what's called the wrong way to do it. And then there's the right way to do it. I saw this in South Carolina on the news. I saw a picture of the news article, and what these guys were doing, there was 4 people carrying long guns, holding signs above their heads. They just had them strapped, across their chest. And each person had one word on the sign. And there's one group of 3 people on one side of the road that says legalize open carry on the 3 signs across 3 people. I'd say it was 4 people. And it said open carry saves lives, which I believe was in reference to the fact that the states that restrict open carry have higher counts of police mortality rates or something like that. So anyways, I consider that a correct and peaceful, appropriate demonstration of long gun open carrying for legal purposes. So that to me really is the only appropriate place to be open carrying long guns. As far as handguns, things to avoid, don't dress like a hobo, please. Dress nicely, usually collared shirts. If it's a t-shirt, don't have any graphics or words on it. I just like plain t-shirts with a pocket on them that I keep my sunglasses in. Better be clean, too. Clean blue jeans or slacks or whatever you wear. So dress cleanly, don't smell gross, right? Don't misrepresent the rest of the firearm community, I guess is the point. Be clean shaven, not like I am now. I mean clean shaven with a relatively nice haircut. So represent the rest of the firearm community with a little bit of respect. Treat yourself with a little bit of respect. So those are a couple of don'ts. Don't not do those things. Another thing not to do, avoid all tactical gear. Dress with normal shoes. Don't wear shiny, like polished combat boots. Don't dress for war, right? Don't wear drop leg tactical holsters. Don't wear all black firearm and holster combos like this. Black and tactical is not always a good look depending on where you're at. Don't wear black nylon Cobra clasp belts that say 511 tactical and big red letters on the side. And those really truly are more of a cultural thing. Truth be told, if you did that in South Central Montana, anywhere in Idaho, anywhere in Wyoming, truth be told, that'd probably be fine. But around here, like in Washington, where it's really on the fence as to whether or not it's socially acceptable or unacceptable, if you're really trying to normalize it and make it your thing and be successful at it, I guess my best advice: be careful with colors, so to speak. Brown leather is your friend. Silver, stainless finishes are your friend. Wood grips are your friend. I know this is a rubber hoe grip, but wood grips in general are your friend. Brown leather belts with plain buckles are your friend. So avoidance of tactical gear is always a good idea. Avoiding overkill is another good one. If you wear a gun on your hip, right, 1911, don't have 3 extra magazines on your other hip. Don't dress like you're going to war again. That's kind of some weirdo. Don't be a weirdo is another good one too. Odd behaviors like talking to people that would prefer you not speak to them. Being confrontational, right? When without the occasion calling for it. Acting strange, looking over your shoulder all the time. Doing any of the previously mentioned things like dressing funny or smelling weird or wearing tactical gear. All these weirdo behaviors, stay away from those. Again, representing the rest of the firearm community when you do this. Represent us and yourself with some respect and with some... don't be tactical, be tactful. Be subtle, I guess I should say. Now getting into some do's, right? I already covered dress wear, brown leather, plain buckles, um, leather holsters, wood grips, silver finishes, all pros. Um, Being polite, holding doors for people, right? Um, Ma'ams and sirs go a long ways depending on where you live. Where I live in Washington, the only time you say ma'am or sir is if they're sticking a flashlight in your window. Um, in South Central Alabama, that's all you say to anybody who looks like they're over about 30 years old. It's the way it is. So, culturally, depending on where you are, ma'ams and sirs go a long ways. But anyway, so those are some do's. Of course, I mentioned dressing nicely, having a nice haircut. Um, a good thing to do is avoidance of confrontation. So, somebody's rude to you about it or shoots you a dirty look while you're in the grocery store, go down another aisle. Avoid them. Avoid the confrontation. I touched on this a second ago. Avoiding talking to people that don't want you to talk to them. Some people who want out of a conversation with somebody who is intimidating to them for whatever reason, sometimes will see forced conversations as a little bit threatening. So that's another thing to avoid, is talking to people that don't want you to talk to them. That goes back to that weirdo behavior thing too. Don't be too chatty. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, yes, police confrontations. If ever you are stopped and questioned or bothered by the police, know your rights and exercise them. If you live in a state that does not require you to present any sort of license to carry, if you're openly carrying and you're not breaking any laws, stand your ground on that. Just don't make a huge scene. If you live in a state that requires you by law to act a certain way and present certain forms of permitting or ID to the police, be cooperative, be polite. Be polite no matter what. Again, the weirdo behavior thing. Don't treat the police who approach you how you would not want to be treated, and they will reciprocate that in most cases. I'm trying to think what else. So I guess another thing I can get into as far as the do's, types of equipment, clothing. Clothing that fits tightly around your waist is good, keeps wrinkles out of your pants. A lot of people wear one size larger pants when they're carrying a concealed firearm because it fits inside their waistband. Wearing the proper sized pants so you don't have wrinkles between your belt and your waistline can be beneficial when carrying an outside the waist holster. That one's just a personal tip from me as far as I'm concerned. So that can be a good idea. I really hate to touch on this subject because some people are really super touchy about this. Go watch Gun Nuts Media, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But active retention holsters. Some people claim they are the end-all, be-all of open carry, and they are the, rule number one, unbreakable, non-negotiable, must-have one. When I say retention holster, I'm talking about an active retention holster that requires some sort of external motion or operation to release the firearm from the holster, whether it be something like this, or it be some kind of a leather thumb brake like this, or it be some kind of a duty rig like a Safariland ALS or SLS or whatever the hell they make nowadays. I'm going to go a little bit against the grain on this. No, I don't think they're 100% necessary. Now, I'm not saying it's a good idea to use an Uncle Mike's nylon zero retention holster. You should have a level 1 retention holster at the minimum. The reason I say that is because you don't want your firearm, there's no clothing, compressed against your firearm anymore. You don't want it falling out if you jump down off a curb a little bit too hard or bend over to pick something up. You don't want your gun falling out of your holster via gravity or inertia. So level 1 retention, meaning a holster that is shaped to the gun and uses the friction of the holster to retain that firearm. My definition of level 1 retention, you should be able to pick it up. If this was a friction only or an open top holster, you should be able to pick it up and give it a shake and the gun doesn't fall out. The upside down test is the minimum level of retention. Now, again, representing the whole firearm community, there are a few lines that are a good idea just to toe the line on. The retention holster, at least a level 2 retention, so one form of active retention added to the holster, I'm going to say is probably a good idea, just because I myself, along with many others, wish to earn the respect of all other everyday carriers. And the overwhelming majority opinion of most other everyday carriers is that open carry requires and is essential that you have an active retention holster of some kind. So I try to toe that line just to get the respect of those guys, and the added security of an unconcealed holster like that adds a little bit more ease of mind to the common public that you may run into. So for those reasons, I'm going to say it's a good idea, but I'm not going to say it's required just because gun grabs are more rare than getting struck by lightning. Criminals that are brave enough to do it, or that are stupid enough to do it, often aren't brave enough, and those that are brave enough to pull off a gun grab usually aren't stupid enough. In all of the active self-protection research that I've ever done on a channel called Active Self-Protection, I've seen all of two, count them, two gun grabs ever. I've heard of 3, but I'm going to say I have seen 2 on civilians. Now, police, it's a little bit different. They're paid to be confrontational. Pack heat, it's going to happen more often, or it's going to be attempted to happen. That's the reason they're required to wear level 3 active retention holsters. But that aside, on the civilian level, I mean, everyone watching this video does not wear rubber boots with soles that are that thick because the average individual is not worried about getting struck by lightning. Being struck by lightning is more likely than having a gun grab occur to you. So that really eliminates the myth of the required active retention holster. But again, I'll leave it at that. I'm going to say it's probably a good idea, but required. Yeah. So moving on from that. So that's touching on equipment. Again, on the equipment front, again, open carry is mostly outside the waistband. One thing to avoid, I will throw out there, is what I like to call the in-your-face category. Long guns being one of them. Another one being chest holsters or shoulder holsters or some kind of a weird rig mole on your backpack holster. Things that are above people's normal line of sight where it really is throwing it in your face will not produce the best results as far as how well people leave you alone on private property and in retail businesses and things like that. So upper body holsters, not a good idea. Carrying in stupid manners like open carrying in an ankle holster where it just looks dumb, again, same results. Also, no respect from the rest of the firearm community on that one either. So really, waistline holsters, truth be told, somewhere strong side, anywhere from, like if you're right-handed, anywhere between 2 and 4 o'clock, usually is about best. That having been said, invest yourself in a actual gun belt. A belt of some kind, preferably leather, again, the looks, right? Appearances. This one here is I have a product review on it. It's Hank's The Extreme is the model gun belt. Okay, it's under 100-year warranty. It's 1 3/4 inches wide and a 5/16 of an inch thick. It's extraordinarily supportive. It looks pretty good. It's very comfortable, and overall, I'm satisfied with it. I would advise anybody who's open carrying in a belt holster to invest in something similar. So let's see, what do we cover? Do's and don'ts, or my definition of open carry and successful open carry. Do's, don'ts, avoidances, equipment, dress wear. Really, as far as successfully open carrying, at least as far as a handgun goes, as far as I'm aware, that's really the only thing you need to know. A couple more things to avoid that are kind of obvious. Don't carry bear guns, right? Don't carry 44 Magnums with 10-inch barrels. Don't carry ridiculous handguns. If it's borderline long gun, don't carry it. But you don't have to be so paranoid and so afraid of what other people think as to carry something like a SIG 938 or a North American Arms mini revolver or something stupid like that. You can carry a normal-sized service pistol. Just avoid things that are obnoxious. Don't be obnoxious. Again, back to the weirdo behavior. So, truthfully, the best way to succeed at open carry, be normal. Carry because that's how you prefer to carry. Carry it that way because you enjoy it that way. It's comfortable for you. Represent yourself and the rest of the firearms community in a neat and tidy and respectable way. And if you can do that, you will attach positive outlooks and associate them with firearms. And right now in our society, that's something we desperately need. So if you stuck through the whole video, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. So This has been the Open Carry video, guys. Thanks.